Well, welcome back. We are back to Heartstrings, where we are fine tuning the strings of life. Hey, Wes.
Hey, baby. So, what are we going to talk about today? You got a topic?
Yes, I do. Um, Came up with it just like that.
That's what you do?
Anyway, with a little help from you. But my topic today is we need to talk about what would we tell our 18-year-old selves?
Mm,
What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Mm,
mm. I don't know, babe. You know, that's a hard question because sometimes I think if you correct yourself, you send yourself on a different life trajectory,
yeah.
and all the stuff that we have accomplished or just mistakes and people
Yeah.
we've met along the way, we probably would not have met them.
That's true. And I have no regrets. However, wisdom says
Well, so
wisdom says what? Do it again.
no,
Do it differently.
if I could be selective, let's just talk about. I believe that if we had made some different decisions,
Absolutely.
smarter decisions about finances and investments, we would be. I don't even know that
We'd
the
be
last.
sitting
What's
fat.
that last piece on the Game of Life we try to get to? Millionaire retirement, whatever.
Park Place.
No, that's Monopoly.
Oh, what'd you say?
Life. You
Oh, the
play the
game of
game.
life.
You never liked life,
I
did you?
never really liked the game
It's
of
because
life.
all your brothers and sisters they didn't fit in the car. I'm I'm only kidding.
Or they lost all the pieces to it. Okay.
So so as we are in this phase, I think like I'm retired now, so
You
we
had
are.
double nickels.
They didn't ask how old I was.
Okay.
So, but the truth is, I'm retired, so now we can officially say that we are full time entrepreneurs
Absolutely.
trying to make it happen. I mean, you've been an
Absolutely.
entrepreneur all your life. Well, not all your life.
Not all my
You
life.
did work for somebody a couple times. It didn't last long. It didn't last long, but
It was season. You have to think about different times when you work for different people as an entrepreneur as an assignment. It's not necessarily that that's your career, but it's a different assignment and it benefits both people. That's what I'll say about that.
yeah,
It's a benefit for both people. It's a benefit for me because a little extra to help pay tuition for the girls and different things, but
right,
it's also to help out a friend or do something like that. Yeah.
right. Uh, but entrepreneurship is in our DNA.
Yeah.
Our kids
All of
have
us.
it. We had it. I don't
That's
know so
true.
much our parents. Well, your parent, your mom and dad, maybe.
Well,
Well, your dad.
my dad,
But it's in the DNA.
my grandfather for sure.
Well, let's talk about the grandfathers. So
Okay.
I'll talk about mine first. So on the Stringfellow side, um, do you know? Even though he was in the army, I didn't get to talk about. I did talk about him last week. I did. I did. Or if I didn't, I forgot about
You
his
forgot.
position in the army.
You talking about grandpapa, granddad?
Granddad,
Okay.
Stringfellow.
Okay.
But anyway, he started. I don't know if you remember. He started a hair product company.
I don't
Um,
think I did. I know that.
yeah, I told you about it. But he started a hair product company, and man, I should have looked the name up. It was like Azur. You ever heard of Azuri?
Yes, I've heard of Missouri.
So his his name was Azur, which one means
Mm.
beauty. I think the other one means beautiful.
Okay.
So he started this company and he had these hair products out. He actually gave us stock in the company. It was like a 1% stock certificate or whatever. I mean, he was doing it. He was about to do it, and then we got sued by Azuri because they said the name was too close.
Really?
Yes, so he had to shut the company down, and that was the end of that. But he was still an entrepreneur.
He started that in Memphis
I
or California.
think he was in California still.
Okay.
I think he was. Um, and that's that side. Then of course, my grandfather Mims on my mom's side, um, he's been in real estate all of my aunties and uncles' lives. I don't think they've ever rented. I really
Wow.
don't. I think
They
they
only
start
rent it to others.
right. I think he started out with two flats, and Then bought other buildings, which were paid for, which were very beneficial to the family. And he was an entrepreneur. He had a what do you call it, contractor's license. He was a certified boiler, and he had a 9 to 5 job.
Mm.
He drove a bus, an electric bus, and we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. Now that's what we talked about last
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
but he drove a bus. So it's in the DNA. Then your granddad, that's a whole nother level
that's a
right there.
whole nother level. Well, I don't know if it's another level, but just it's another um, way of saying that entrepreneurship and being a business owner was in my blood. And my grandfather, he, oh, that's so funny. My grandfather, he was a contractor and he moved from Detroit to Chicago, but he used to build homes in Detroit, Michigan. And then, or Hamtramck, Michigan, let me get it right. And then the Lord told him to come to Chicago and start pastoring.
Hmm.
And he opened grocery stores. He opened the church food pantries and you name it. He owned different properties and different houses, and which we lived in quite a bit, renting, rented houses from him and the different churches and different things like that. But anyway, my point is I got a little twisted with that because it could have went into a whole different conversation. So I'll just pause
Taking you
right there.
back, taking
It's
back
taking
that.
me back. I was like,
Well, that's gonna be a good episode. We
okay,
talk about
okay.
that.
Take me back. Okay. Welcome back. Okay. I always get a song. But anyway, to that point, my uncle Caesar Crawford, he ran the grocery store on 79th Street next to Rhodes Theater. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know where it was.
Yeah, that's kind. I remember there, and I actually stole a candy bar out of there.
Stole a candy bar?
Yes, and they made me come back and mop floors. But anyway,
How
I'll
did
never
you
forget
get
that.
caught?
I don't know. I don't.
You probably
It
fessed up.
was knowing me. It was $1,000 $1 million bar. Was it called the $1 million bar? Or the... Anyway, long story short, that's what I did. But literally, that was my grandfather prayed for his children and grandchildren to be entrepreneurs. That was one of his desire, and he opened a credit union, which is called the Israel Methcom Federal Credit Union, which is still open to this
Still
day,
open to this day.
and you can still and he the reason he did that was because a lot of black people didn't have good credit, and he didn't want to have to turn people down for taking out loans or to buy a car. So you can open the credit union account and have a secured loan, and that's been around forever as long as you put your money down. So I'll
Right.
just say we've taken advantage of many paying off many car loans through the credit union. So shout out to IMFCU, and that is still
On
open
the
and
south
running
side of
on the
Chicago.
south side of Chicago, right?
Do you know
And the suburbs too, by the way.
on Cottage Grove? Because you're talking about the church, so right down the street from the church, your granddaddy's church. Remember that McDonald's used to be there on 78th,
Yes, I
by the
used to
post
want
office?
to order French fries from there, and I didn't have any money.
Does
How to
everything have to
how
go?
to share
You
French
know,
fries?
we're gonna have a whole healing episode just for you
How to
and your
share
childhood.
my French fries with my siblings. Anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, I remember going there with my granddad, and it was a bunch of scruffy older black guys sitting in there
Why they have to be scruffy with
because
them?
they look scruffy.
Okay, okay,
Do you remember my granddad?
okay.
Did
Come
you
on,
ever
come on,
see
come
him
on,
dressed up?
come on, Grandpa.
Did you? Did you?
Yes.
When? Going to church,
Mm-hmm.
maybe?
Yeah.
Other than that, he had on some overalls.
Yes, he did.
All right. So I should say, well, they were scruffy looking. So they're all sitting in this McDonald's. And it was kind of not until I was a little older that I realized that all of these men in there, they were millionaires. They
Oh
had
wow.
owned property all over the south side. And you could still drive probably on the south side and southeast side and see their names on the buildings. I don't want to start naming them because I might miss some. And then me and my uncle, who when I was an electrician, and we'll get to that part today, we used to work for all of them. And so they kept us busy. We were putting in intercoms, and as they would rehab the apartments, we would go in there and put in outlet switches, lights, whatever they needed. So we stayed busy just from that connection. But you would never know that those old men sitting in that McDonald's were millionaires.
Right. Never judge a book by its
Never
cover.
judge a book
I
by
have
the
a
cover.
current story about that, but I will not tell it. But anyway, back down memory lane.
So
So back to the point of what would we tell our 18-year-old selves? probably to invest in property. So let me tell you a little story, you all. Wessy's grandparents, as you heard, um, owned building, and so we lived in that building early on in our marriage, paying $150 a month for rent,
150.
and I was late.
And we relate on that.
He said we, but you know. Anyway, I would tell myself not to buy a Cavalier, a Chevy Cavalier, brand new, and pay 29% interest back then, and just so that I
20,
did not have to. So
29% interest.
because I never owned anything, and I bought that car. Our car
You
note was
bought that
like
car because you were mad. You didn't want to ride in my yellow station wagon.
with big blotches. What was it? The sealant on the car
I don't
made
know.
big, huge
It was
sun
like sunspot.
beam blotches
It
on
was
the.
it
We
was
couldn't see. We had
painful.
to look around the
Girl, that
blotches to
that
drive.
station wagon made money.
Okay, he did work. You did work with it. Anyway, the point was that when it was time for us, our credit was better, and or we had started building credit because I don't even think we really had any credit, and
Yeah,
you know
we didn't know what we had.
no, because
We
I
just
started
kind of,
working with Dolores. I'll never forget it.
but that was right, and that's what I'm saying. We didn't know what we had until we decided to buy something, and then we got introduced to Dolores,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
and she walked us through the whole thing.
And okay, so Nisha's network was working way back then too. I just want to say that because Dolores probably made so much money off of all the people I sent her for loans and mortgages. But anyway, the point is that Wes was like, I think I want to buy a building. And what did I do? Throw a tantrum. I don't want to buy a building. I never lived in a building. I don't want to own a building. And so we did not buy a building. What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Buy a building, listen to your husband, and then buy a building
And
because
let that building
and let
pay
that
for your
building pay
house.
for your house. So
And
many people make that mistake.
that was before the
Make
real
that
estate
mistake.
ballooned.
Right.
So we were getting in
And
really
interest
good
rates were
prices.
really okay. And stuff wasn't costing as much, of course, as it is now. Um, so much different would have happened if I would have listened to you and you wouldn't have gave in to my desire. So what would I tell my 18-year-old self? The same thing I would tell somebody else that wants to purchase something. You know, if you're young, buy something that's going to pay for itself and pay for the next opportunity.
I thought you were going to say, listen to your husband.
Well, I did say listen to my husband first.
When's the
I
last
said
time? When's the last time you said that?
I just said it a few minutes ago.
Did you tell yourself that recently?
Oh, buddy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, in regards to
Continue.
that, we bought our first house, and
Bought our first house, and that house paid for the next house, and that house paid for the
for
next
the next
house.
house, right? And at one point was, we were like entrepreneurs. I mean, we were
Well,
like what do you call it? Investors. That's what we were. But I think we're jumping ahead.
we are. So let's talk about
Let's scale back.
fresh out of not even finishing college. What did you do?
So I worked at
So now we're married. Now we
well, first
hitched.
of all, I just want to say thank you for giving me my first job at a salon because when I was dating you and you were fixing Mr. T and Company on 71st and Jeffrey, um, with Mr. Thomas Hayden, the late Thomas Hayden. And I literally got my first job as a receptionist. Westwood had did the electrical. Him and his uncle Jeffrey had did the electrical inside that salon. And West knew I wanted to be a hairstylist. And my mom said, "You're going to give me 1 year of college." So I went to that's how I wound up at Chicago State. But I really always wanted to do hair. I didn't realize the legacy of being a cosmetologist was in my bloodline and an entrepreneur. I had a great uncle, my grandfather's brother, owned a 27-seater salon in Detroit. And then I have family in North Carolina that are salon owners. So it's just like it's my great grandmother was a hairstylist. So anyway, fast forward to you getting me that job and
Mm-hmm.
us, going to Chicago State. I was so appreciative. And guess what minimum wage was? I remember it to this day was
How much?
300. I mean 300. $3.75. $3.75 an hour.
Wow.
I'm old.
Did you at least get a discount on your hair?
Nope. And then that's a long story. But fast forward to us moving our family very fast. That was my first really my first job was at the evangelical Christian school, but my first job into my career where I knew
as an adult. Well,
as an adult or as a person that said, you know what, I kind of know I want to do this. And so that was when I started working. We got married. I started working at Rush Presbyterian Hospital. I was pregnant with Danielle Janae Yelly, aka, and
but that was some years. You jumped some years.
and you
Go
said
ahead.
you said um, go ahead, Wes. You said, go ahead, Neesha. I'm going to pay for you to go to beauty school. And the rest is history. When he said that, I was like, deuces to all the jobs. I'm going to go to beauty school. And I'm just like forever grateful for that because that kept mouths fed. But what would I tell my 18-year-old self then? Follow your heart in terms of what you want to do.
Let me ask this: even though you are doing hair, or you went to school and all that, and then started doing hair, would you have gone back to finish school then in your younger years, or was it that you think it would have still been too much with working kids and all of that?
I think because we were married right away, I think that probably changed things. But I shared this story actually today, and that's something that stood out to me. One of my mentees and little sisters is now Dr. Danielle Alford. Her mother came to me and said, um, don't encourage her to go to beauty school until she's done with college. So if I had to do it all over again, I'd tell my 18-year-old self to go ahead and complete college and then take on the trade. I think the trade only came because we had a family and I was determined to make some money.
Well, yes, but I think during that time, trades were not. They were kind of looked upon
They were looked down
as
upon.
beneath.
Yes, like, oh, you just a hairstylist. Oh,
And
you
even
just a
even
beauty
to kind of today,
beautician.
they're not really. It's like if you got a college degree, you're good. But if you're in a trade, oh, that's the best you can do, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But it's the times have
The
changed.
times have
They
changed
are definitely
because
changing.
these trades, they're paying $50, $60 an hour,
Yeah.
which is well over six figures.
Yeah. Well, I was grateful for your trade. Okay, so your first job has
Yeah.
gotten us has put
You
together
do
salons
you
for
know
me. Has
I actually so I was taking at Olive Harvey when we went to Olive Harvey after we left Chicago State. We went to Olive Harvey, and I was actually taking some electronic classes. And I had applied for CTA, and I had applied for a phone company. It was called Illinois Bell then.
Right.
And I was really hoping Illinois Bell would call.
Right.
But they didn't. They didn't call first. CTA called me first. I came down, took the test. I passed it. They passed it right on. And next thing you know, I was 21 years old working on trains.
Yeah.
Changing motors. Wow. And all kind of AC units and,
And you smelled like
rewiring. That's why, you know, you're going to appreciate that stank one day.
I do. I do. I don't think we would be where we are if you didn't have a little dirty clothes. Now, come on.
All right. But I worked hard. And
you did work hard. But you didn't only learn it from there.
No. So, first of all, since the age probably fifth, sixth grade, I was with my grandfather and my uncles working around the buildings, doing everything up to those buildings. People don't realize how much with the plastering, painting, the woods, the floors, the plumbing, riding out sewers, of course, doing all electrical work on these buildings. I was doing that since grammar school. So then when I started working with my uncle in high school, I was putting in 400 amp services in high school and running his company while he was at work. So it came natural to me, I guess. So when I started working for CTA, fixing the trains, it came easy. Now, the qualifications that I had when I got the job for CTA, you can't even get a job doing what I did now.
Wow.
They want you to have some years of experience or years of education or a combination of both.
Wow.
But then I don't know if they needed some. I don't know.
Well, I'm grateful for all of that work Uncle Jeffrey
I think they just wanted you to pass the test.
You were his apprentice, and I really thank God for that because that opened doors for you in major ways.
It's always kept food on the table.
But what would you tell your 18-year-old self? About that season?
Well, you know what? There's some different jobs at CTA that I probably would have moved to, which would have probably bought me a little more money. Um, but I was comfortable. I was having fun at work. The difference between the trades weren't that much, you know. So I would probably say the first chance you get, move over to this department. In this department, you'll move up and you'll make a whole lot more money.
Yeah. Just get your foot in the door.
Just get my foot in the door. But I was good where I was. So that's what I would tell myself about that. But I think that if I had worked for the phone company too, I would have been all right because remember your godmother, she was like the big boss.
Yeah.
And you probably
Shout out to Kathy Woods.
Probably shouldn't be saying that, but I know she would have taken care of me.
Yes. She was a gift, and she took care of us anyway. And you didn't work for Illinois Bill. Right. She was an amazing gift. And her husband, actually, shout out to Elwood, the Godfather, that he owned Law Hair Salon on 83rd and King Drive. And as I was babysitting Kelly, I would go and watch him, and that's how I learned how to blow dry. Wow. I'm just thinking about like back down memory lane of entrepreneurship, of just watching entrepreneurs and knowing what I wanted. And I think that one thing I want to appreciate you about is the fact that you saw the gift in me and you invested in me. You didn't just invest in me as your wife. You invested in me and you believed in me when people were making me feel like it was just nothing. Wes put together the salons by his hands.
I don't think they heard that.
Wes salons put with salons with the S, like over seven. Um, he literally would go to work and then come work midnights and then come in the salon and put salons together, like every single last one of them. For Your Glory Hair Salon, which I had two of those, and then I had Purpose by Design, and then I had Care Concepts, which Carla owns now, and then I have NK Artistry. Then I had Nisha Maria Studios. Oh my goodness. I'm forgetting a few. Now, a couple of those were double locations that he had to uproot one and put in another location. One of them I had twice at the same. But I wanted to say thank you because you believed in me. You invested in me. 33 years of standing behind the chair and just investing in. I mean, and when we couldn't pay our bills, he would pay the salon rent. We had to make sure Wes made sure things were taken care of, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. That's why I say anything you want to do, I pray for you all the time because I'm like anything you want to do, I want you to do it because you believed in me, and I want to be able to invest in you the same way. I pray for you that way. And this, I wanted to say this one thing.
Go ahead.
We're a couple, and we are, of course, do marriage ministry and all of that, but we're individuals too, and we like a little different stuff. We like a lot of stuff the same, but like we do a lot of different stuff. But one of the compliments of a relationship in marriage, it should be a friendship to say you want to see your spouse go far. Because if you don't, you want to see your friend go far, you can't have a crab barrel mentality. And a lot of relationships have competitiveness. But I don't think we have that. We work with each other. Like whatever Wes want to do, that's when I'm gonna jump on board. Whatever I want to do, he jumps on board. I mean, if it's within reason. But that's just a little bit of our. I wanted to pause there and say thank you. I would tell my 18-year-old self, get you a good husband.
You did though, didn't you?
Okay then.
All right.
All right. But
so I think that just because of what we knew, I think that led us into venturing out into buying investment properties, which was a whole lot of not fun.
And I said a whole lot of never again. And
because we were buying them and trying to rent them.
Right. And we had friends that were doing it so well. And I really believe this, Wes, and I said this, I really believe we didn't have time to invest in what we should have because there was not a lot of time between running back and forth with the kids, and we were very invested in church. And not that we're not anymore, but I think we spent more time in church and ministry that we couldn't do all of that. And the kids and school and all of that. So I really think that it was just, I don't want to say bad timing, but you have to have the time to invest if you're going to be a person that rehabs for a person that invests in property, right?
You do, and it was
Or
some it
money.
was it was some learning things we had to learn along the way. I think, and shout out to my buddy Dennis Collier who
Yeah,
got my
shout out
feet wet.
DC.
And he didn't have to.
He did.
He didn't have to, but he was
Mm-mm.
like, "Come on, Wes, let's buy a house."
Yes, he did. They
And work
believed
with
in
him.
us. Yeah, him and Sharice. Yeah.
And then he pretty much, even that house, he didn't. He was just like, "Here, just buy me out for whatever we put into it." He didn't make any money off of it. He just kind of just like, you know,
I couldn't wait to get rid of that house.
man,
And
that
shout out to the
was
people that bought it from me. A very good friend bought it from us
yeah.
because we were trying to get from under it. And
Well,
ooh,
that was something that was going on because I remember.
yeah,
So we had the house on Hazelcrest. We were living in Olympia Fields
yep.
at the salon. Then we had the house
House in
Park
Park
Forest.
Forest, yep.
And I think at one time there was nothing coming in from
Not a
anything.
zilch. I think you had
So
that
I
was the
was
year you
paying like 4 mortgages out of my CTA salary, and it was killing me.
it was a lot. And oh, you know what? And the other piece of that was that I had that salon on Halsted.
Hmm.
9/11 had taken place.
That's what it was.
So what would I
Things
tell my
changed.
18-year-old self to listen to your husband
Listen to your
again when he
husband.
tells you this does not look like good property land. It looks a little deserted. I was like, oh no, they about to put the big box
And
stores
they
over
were.
here.
They
Oh,
were.
they about to do that. And then 9/11 happened. But see, that was prophetic. You was like telling me, and I was still not listening. I believe this is God.
But it's jumping now, though.
I
It
know
is
it's jumping
jumping
on.
now.
And
All
yeah.
right, we'll move
Okay,
on.
move on. But anyway, anyway, I just say that to say that if it was a different time, so I definitely would tell any young person, or I would tell myself to not only listen to you for the timing, but to pay attention to your season because if it's not a season for you to have entrepreneurship and have at least 6 to 12 months of what you need in the bank for your business, for your investment, and for your home,
Yeah.
you probably should not be doing it.
One thing I also learned, you can't do everything off the sweat of your own back. Because I was
Mm.
literally trying to do
You
everything.
were
It's like,
painting and
you sometimes you just gotta
bite the bullet.
spend some money, pay some people, get out of there, make that money, and keep it rolling.
Yeah,
You know. But when you know how to do, it's hard to pay people to do things that you know how to do yourself.
yeah,
But what happens is what you could have had done in 60 days or 30 days
yeah.
now it drags on 3 4 months.
And it
So
costs you more money
it
than if you
costs you
would have
more
just
money.
went ahead and just had paid somebody
Yep.
to do it. So I want to say that I'm grateful for that experience, and I said never again. But now here we are. You're retired, and I think we'll always be working and doing something. But
Well, no, we won't.
no,
No. Here's my
I'm
plan.
saying like
And I talked
ministry and
about it.
stuff like that.
Well, ministry, yeah, kind of, sort of, yes. But my plan is like I'm 55 now, double nickel. By the time I get the age of Social Security, which is
60.
7 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't plan on doing anything.
Okay then.
So I need to make these investments, stack that money.
Mm-hmm.
I already get a pension from CTA. Then when my Social Security kicks in, I should want for nothing. Hopefully, everything I have is paid off. If you want to do some stuff, you can. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm going to
Yeah.
sit my tail down.
Well, yes, I want to be able to enjoy, but one of the things that I desire to do, and I think we talked a little bit about this when you asked, if uh, if you could do anything to not fail, the question you asked last week. Um, I think I would just say that this year I prayed to be able to be that entrepreneur where we can employ people, and that's
Do
been
you
my
really want
desire.
to be the boss lady?
I don't. I want to hire people, and I want somebody else to be the boss. I want to hire the boss too. I just want to oversee. I want to be the project overseer. That's it.
The CEO.
Because I got too much grace in my heart, and that's one thing. I have mentored
You
and
need you
and
need a you
hired.
need a senior manager working
I
under
need
you.
a senior manager because I've hired. I mean, Rachel, she was working at the salon, and I think she was 11 shampooing for me. I always wanted. I feel like I did what my grandfather wanted me to do, and that is to empower people and employ
But
them.
that's what you have done. You're an apostle.
What?
You're an apostle to the
No
hairstylist.
possible.
Look.
Okay.
How many people have worked under you that went on to get their own salons?
Quite a few. Quite a few. And
Mm,
the
impossible.
connections to just work with people that, yeah. Oh, well, okay, we can move on from you calling me an apostle.
The apostle of the hair.
But I did want to touch on the fact that it's okay to have a job for 30 plus years.
Let's talk about this. So I think the new thing now is everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. What are you working for the man for? What do you want to work a 9 to 5 for? Then you can't go on vacation when you want. You got to ask permission. It's like, well, guess what? If you're the entrepreneur and you're the boss, you ain't going on vacation.
That is
When you
true.
go on vacation, who's going to run the business?
Unless you really have it's
Unless you got
lucrative.
it really working by itself. Unless
Right.
it's making money in your sleep,
Right.
you ain't going nowhere.
That's
And you're
true.
going to be working longer hours,
That's true.
more days.
That's
I
true.
mean, don't be fooled. Don't listen to the people on TikTok. Being an entrepreneur is a
It's
special
work.
type of person.
And it's work.
Everybody is not made out to be an entrepreneur.
No.
You know,
Discipline.
so let me. I'm gonna make this confession in front of the world, the whole internet world. I believe that if I was a 100% entrepreneur um, during our years with the kids, I would not be retired today because
Really?
there was always an emergency. There was always college, high school tuitions. It was always something coming
Yeah.
up. Fortunately, I was able to be blessed with a job that has a pension, which there are very few left. And I
Hmm.
was fortunate enough to be able to start when I was 21, put in my 32 years, which is maxed out, and retire.
Hmm.
Um, Not many of those jobs left. So I don't know if I would. I know I wouldn't be retired because we still be putting money in the bank trying to build up that 401k so we can live.
That's
You
true. I'm
know,
very grateful for your pension.
you used to talk about it. No, I should say talk about it. Let me tell you. Well, I'm about to bust you out, Strength Brother. I'm about to
Okay.
bust you out, Niche. And I had to kind of straighten you out.
You did.
So with my job, it would pay for all the life insurance and health insurance. Then I would put money into. I had a credit union I was putting money into. Then I had another savings deferred comp that I was putting money into. And after all that was taken out, plus my pension, then I would take home whatever I took home. So my take home was a little less than a lot less than what Nisha was making. And we were arguing about something paying
Oh
off.
Lord, you
And
about to tell that story?
you let out of your lips come, what did you say, babe?
I don't even want to repeat it. I said something to the fact that it's my money or I make more
I'm
money
making
than
all the
you,
money and
money
paying
up
all
paying
these
all the bills.
bills.
Something that was terrible. And I repented for that day, and I never ever have I ever gone back on disrespect.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I was young and dumb. So what would I tell my 18-year-old self? Because I probably was about 19 when I said it. That I would never
No, you were a
disrespect
little
my
older because
husband. And let me
you
tell
were
you what.
making. You've always made more money than me in all our years
Sometimes I just tried
until
not to.
well, yeah. But I had to pay your taxes too.
Okay, so I really didn't make more money than you because you had to pay my taxes. But anyway, I vowed never to do that, and I think that people need to know that don't get so high and mighty because you get knocked down. And I got knocked down, not by you. You didn't knock me out, but I did learn a valuable lesson because that was a little spirit of pride. I was making me a little extra $200 a week, and you was going out there bringing in insurance. Okay. I didn't have insurance. Okay. We didn't have I wasn't paying taxes. So I realized that I was dumb. And it took years to kind of get that. I think we got it together though, to
Oh
know
yeah.
no, we got it together and understand when we got ready to buy the house. Cause I said that in the apartment. And the other piece to that was that, we didn't honor our commitment to your grandparents. So we had to get that act together. I mean, that was just out of control. So I think that when you said we call this what would I tell my 18-year-old self, but it's really just not 18. It's the 20 and the 23 and the 25 and the 27. There's so many dynamics that we've gone through But God has always blessed us because we've worked together.
And
That part,
life lessons.
life lessons, and so yeah. So I want to just say that I want to encourage people with the trade. What would I tell my 18-year-old self? Have a plan A and a plan B. Don't just rely on something that is self employment if that is not money in the bank at least for a year. You know what I mean? It's not lucrative. Have a plan B. You do not have to sit and wait on one
Are
thing.
you
I'm talking
talking
about
about?
part time job.
Are you talking about people that are working with a job, quitting their job to start a business?
That part.
That part right there.
Somewhere, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna open this. But you don't even have a way. You don't have a plan. You don't. You see it,
You need to be replacing your income and then some.
and then some.
Because people, I think people don't realize how much health insurance is once you get out there by yourself. They don't realize that now you don't have nobody matching your 401k
Right.
or putting money into your pension.
Right.
So that means you got to be putting it in there. So even though in the pocket or in your hand you may be bringing home more money, but in the long run you're not.
Right.
So you need to be careful. And we tell people this. We've had to tell some young couples this, where the husband or the wife, they just want to quit their job, and mostly the husband, they want to quit a job and start this business. I'm like, that is absolutely great, but before you do that,
Right.
you need to have this in place. And if you don't have this in place, I would strongly advise you not doing that.
Right.
I know, oh, it's my dream. I don't want to be stuck in this dead end. I said, okay, well then work hard and get out of it. People are scared to work hard. Our
That part
motto is work
was
hard while you're young so you can rest while you're old.
people have it made these days with, I mean, these millennials and
Nobody
Gen
wants to work.
Zs.
They want to make six figures at home, working a few hours a day, a few days a week.
And some of them do.
Yes, they do, but that's what they want. And when they're not getting that, or if they get a little frustrated or something, they keep their resumes on fleek. They keep them ready. They're shooting them out. Yeah. All the time, job searching. There is zero loyalty. There is, even when I was working, when I was a general manager and we used to hire people at CTA, uh, the, the, the there was nobody coming in young. We said, so what is your plan? There was not one person that said, I'm going to retire from CTA.
Wow.
They all had like a 5-year plan, and then they were going to go do whatever, and some did leave, and some 10 years later, oh, you're still here, huh? So
there are some savvy people, and I guess the other piece that I would tell my 18-year-old self and younger self is that to create a plan and see a financial planner early on, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because I don't have a 401k or a pension. West is all I have.
You started one.
I started one, but I've started many times. And there was always
always an emergency, always tuition.
And so shout out to Dave Ramsey and the Financial Peace University. Highly recommend that if you're about to do anything, make sure you walk through the journey of having some financial advice or a financial advisor or class or something.
A budget plan that the two of you, if you're married, can agree upon is the best thing.
Yeah.
Would we have really? I don't see. That's why one of the reasons why I think we would have been a lot further ahead, because sometimes in a marriage there's a spender and a saver.
And we are both.
We're a spender. Like I'll be like, babe, we need to save this money. We need to save this money, and we go shopping. She's like, hey, Wes, you like this? Yeah, get that for me, babe. It was just that easy, So, and then I like cars. We always liked a nice car. We still do.
I really don't care about a nice car. I care about a car that's nice. Well, eventually
I
learned.
Wait. Time out. Eventually, no. It's back to story up to 18-year-old self who didn't want to ride around in the yellow station wagon.
Oh, I forgot.
And now you don't care about nice cars.
It wasn't the fact that they gave me a car was the thing. It wasn't the fact.
No, they didn't give you a car.
No, they robbed me.
Bent you over backwards and gave you that car. Because there's no way in the world a Chevy Cavalier in 1989 should have cost us $16,000-$17,000.
Wow, embarrassing right now.
And the car was only $10,000.
Embarrassing.
We paid it off though.
We did pay it off, but I tell my 18-year-old self. I do want to talk about though not drowning when you're an entrepreneur. And one of the things that we didn't do, which we don't recommend, but we said we would never do, was bankruptcy. And so for the business,
Man, we used to look at people. You doing what?
we
You
used to,
filing a
that
what?
was a high and mighty kind of attitude, right? But I think it was something we didn't want to do. But I will say this, that I cried like a baby at that lawyer's office because I said I never would do this. But what I learned is that people that are in business, when things don't go right, you just have to have your stuff set up right. When things drown, people do it all the time. I'm talking
It is.
about in
It
terms
is.
of it's not a,
It's a regular business practice that's been going on for years.
but you just have to have the right business things in place, like LLC or the corporations and stuff, right? Would you say that?
Yeah. So you're not. Well, I don't know. How about that answer? I don't want to start making up stuff, but yes. So if you have everything in your business, so if the business stuff
It's
fails,
separate.
it's protected from your regular household
That's what
stuff.
I mean. Right. That's not making that up. That's real talk.
Yes.
I had to take that in business 101. Okay.
Yes.
So yes. But they teach you that. Remember that time I went to the Women's Business Development Center downtown Chicago on Michigan Avenue, and I had someone else do my business proposal because I was trying to get a grant or a loan, an SBA loan. And
Mm-hmm.
I went down there, and guess what I was my little young self didn't do? Read the proposal the girl did for me. I just wanted it done. I just wanted, and so once that lady picked, you remember that? She
I
picked the,
wasn't in there with you. It was
oh,
for
I
women.
left out and cried. She picked the part that, okay, so what's your projected plan? What's your 5-year plan? What's your this? What's your that? I was like, I was sitting there like a dummy because I didn't do it. And I realized that I wasn't reading my own work. I didn't know how much money I made. I knew I made a lot of money. I knew I made over 6 figures. I knew I had the finances in my power to do what I was doing. I just didn't have a plan for it. And my hands suffered because I didn't have a plan. My health suffered because I didn't have a
You
plan.
cannot get rich off of the sweat of your own
All that
back.
sweat of your own back.
I keep saying that, and those who try, you will work yourself to death.
Yeah. And I'd work myself to hurt. And I remember that. And so that was when the doctors told me, the rheumatologist said, if you keep doing what you're doing, I was turning out 20 heads a day in a 6 to 8 hour period with an assistant, of course, but I was rolling them in like cattle, rolling them in and out. My speed was my gift.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so anyway,
You used to have about 2 or 3
but I
assistants.
want to talk a little bit about even as an entrepreneur, and we launched the marriage ministry, and we wrote books, and we still, we're still doing that part of ministry. Is that considered still under entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Everything we do now is 100% entrepreneurship.
Okay,
We don't work for anybody.
okay,
Who do you work for? Exactly.
okay. But I did want to say that at some point you touched on this, and I want you to touch on it a little bit more. Is not staying stuck in one place, because there was a point where I had to kind of encourage you to go to management. And I knew we talked about it being a pay cut, but I knew it would be easier on your life in some areas.
You
In
know,
some
that.
areas,
Well, go ahead with your question because it's funny that you would say that. I was going to say
in
something.
some areas. But I knew that I feel like God kind of developed you and kind of pushed you, and you were a leader already, and they were kind of already telling you
Yes, they were.
to become go into management, but you just were so comfortable.
I was
I
good at
was
what I
so
was doing.
comfortable.
I'm gonna tell you because I was just thinking while you were talking about your hands. I was thinking so. On one of the jobs at my work was they called a truck shop where you change the big stuff. So I was changing out the whole AC units from the bottom of the trains and the motors and the wheel assemblies because I was good at it. I could do it in my sleep. I mean, if there was overtime for truck shop and they knew I was working, it didn't matter if the person knew truck shop or not. They said, "Oh, if Wes is doing it, I'll be his partner."
Come on,
Um,
somebody.
so it was easy to me, and I actually thought that something was wrong with my hands because we use impact guns and things like that, and it was just sore. I was like, "Man, I'm getting arthritis or something." The moment that I stopped, my hands went right back to normal. So I don't know how much longer I would have been able to do
Wow, you gotta
truck
tell me
shop.
that.
Really.
No, this is the first time I've heard that.
Um, I mean, there were other jobs I probably would have went into anyway.
Right.
But I did that. There was always overtime, so I could do it. But I went into management. Um, I was encouraged
Mm-hmm.
to go into management. Even when I was,
Who encouraged you
even
to
when I
go
was
into
fixing
management? Who
trains, I was a
encouraged you to go
leader.
in management?
Uh,
Who encouraged you to go into management?
I don't know who did. Besides my managers encouraging me, my wife.
Your nagging wife?
You know what?
You was like, why do you want me to do this?
Right. I think every position that I've had, I was encouraged to go to the next level by
Mm-hmm.
my current boss or somebody, um, which was good. I didn't really think because CTA back in the day was very political. It wasn't really what you knew; it was more of who you knew.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in. I didn't really expect to get it. As a matter of fact, the first time I put in, I didn't even get a. They was like, yeah, whatever. It wasn't even a thought that you should have this because they had certain groups and certain places where management came from, and there was some going back and forth. It was like, how am I going to be a leader running the shop, but I'm not qualified to be a manager doing the same thing?
Mm.
So then they started hiring from the leaders, which is how a lot of us became managers and
Yeah,
moved right on
I
up.
remember that part. Yeah, I remember that
So then
part.
I went to manager, stayed there for a couple of years, and senior manager, stayed there for a few years, and then general manager,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I retired.
Yeah, you could have kept going.
I was asked to. I just did not want that next level because I
Yeah.
didn't want the headache. Because I knew retirement was close, and I was like, I've been doing this for 30 years. I know the headache that goes with that next level position.
Yeah.
I know, and I didn't want it, and I kind of let it be known that I didn't want it because our boss was like, "Well, this position is going to open up, and I'm either considering you or the actual my buddy who took the job." And I was kind of like, I have no problem working for my buddy. I didn't say my buddy, I said his name. I have no problem working for him. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Because I did not want that headache,
Yeah.
because I was already,
Stressing.
man, it was some stressful times.
He was.
And I didn't
I
want, and
tell.
it had just gotten easy or less stressful. I should say easy. It had just gotten less stressful. And I was like, I can't go back to that.
Remember, you just said a couple weeks ago, you were like sitting in the chair. You was like, I still have PTSD
Yeah.
on Sunday nights.
Because, when you got a stressful job and you got to go to work that Monday, I could feel my stress levels rising, and I would dread the clock as it ticked closer to time to go to bed. You know, and sometimes I'll look at the clock on a Sunday night, and I get a flashback. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm retired. I don't have
Yeah.
to go anywhere." Sometimes I'll hear that phone ring because we had some work phones. And sometimes I'll hear that ringtone because I made sure my phone does not sound like that work phone, and I'll just tense up. Oh, I'm retired.
Was, babe.
But it's a lot. It was a lot at that level that you pushed me to, that you complained about, and as you pushed me to. And I will remind you every day, this is what you asked for, Neesha.
Yeah, you did ask. Well, I think that God knows what we need and where we should be. And it's not always easy. But I think some relationships were built. And that's what I wanted to share in regards to, throughout the years of making mistakes, of what would I tell my 18-year-old self, um, whether it be through entrepreneurship or what type of job you've chosen, school along the way, going back to school, relationships will be established that may last you for a lifetime or established to push you to the next place, whether it's a challenging relationship or whether it's actually a person that, will be there for the lifetime of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've been through all that, you've learned that we can teach this to the next generation, but then now we can relax and be ready to say, hey, what do we want to do now?
So what are you going to do now?
Well,
What are you going to do? What's our plan? What are we doing next?
I don't know. I think we're doing it right now. Let's have some fun.
Well, true, but I think I'm ready to get back into the real
Well, yeah, you
estate
did
game.
say that. I mean that is something
Just,
that you
just a
definitely want
few,
to do.
make some few money, some little money,
Not a few monies.
pay some houses off, buy a few, and then I can sit down. And I only have a short window to do it, so
Yeah. Well, short window meaning.
a few years.
Okay.
Because
Before
I
you turn
told you
62.
when I'm going to sit down
You're
and
going
do
to sit
nothing.
down and do nothing. Okay. All right. That's fair. Just don't say short windows these days.
Okay.
I don't like short
I'm not
windows.
going anywhere.
Okay. I appreciate that in Jesus' name.
You know, I got a few more cars to buy.
Yes, you do. You got to get your annex, car annex, where you can put your 6 cars in and your old
All my
schools
old
and your new
schools.
schools and your all of
I need
that.
a whole building.
See, none of that floats my boat, which I think we'll talk about next time.
You can't tell. I saw you
We
in
can
that
talk.
little
We're gonna talk
video
about next
with your
time.
hair blowing in the air in
Through
the
that
wind.
Corvette. Next time we're gonna talk about just getting on the road and traveling, because I really believe that that's something that will be something we could talk about. But I appreciate the gift of my trade. I just want to say that, and I appreciate getting a mortgage license and being an amazing, come on, somebody,
We were
an
loan officers, weren't we?
amazing loan officer.
You were.
I racked them in, and I helped
You
people
had a
buy
gift.
houses, and I was not working for a predatory loaner. I mean, predatory loaner, a predatory lending company. Shout out to Old School Palace Home Mortgage and Gil Freeman. But I just was like, I learned that, and Wes pushed me to that. You pushed me after my hands went out. You said, babe, had you ever thought about, getting a mortgage
Because
license?
I knew you couldn't work for anybody. I knew you weren't going downtown to no 9 to 5.
You didn't
thought you
want me
were.
to.
Babe, I was trying to protect you because I knew that that is not what you wanted to do.
Okay, well, I racked it in, and that was a blessing. And it stressed me out because
It consumed you.
It consumed me, all of me.
Every minute
And
of
every
the
now and
day,
then I
night.
think about it, like I could go back into doing mortgages again. And you were a home inspector.
I did mortgages too.
Yeah, you did mortgages. You were a home inspector. We dabbled in real estate. We did for a little while. I was trying to think of all the other stuff we did. But anyway, we don't have enough time to talk about it.
All right.
But it's been great talking to you about this. Some stuff I learned today.
What did you learn? Never mind. Let's go.
All right. Love you.
Love you, baby.
Oh, thank you for saying it. Bye. Bye, everybody. See you next time.
In the symphony of life where our hearts entwine, love, family, and faith in every line. From kin to companions in the moment so rare. We pluck the heartstrings with the stories